All right, let's dive in. Today we're cracking open a classic Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Ah, yes, this one always sparks conversation.
It really does, and that's why we're going deep. You've probably seen the quotes, maybe even skimmed a summary.
But there's so much more to uncover.
Exactly. We're going past those bullet points. Why do Kiyosaki's ideas hit so hard?
Why are they still relevant after all these years?
And honestly, why do they stir up so much debate?
I think that's part of what makes this book so powerful.
It challenges us to think differently. Remember that example, the lottery winner?
Oh, yeah, the one who ends up broke.
Wins big but still doesn't get it. That's what hooks you right away. Money doesn't equal financial starts.
That story throws the whole get-rich-quick fantasy out the window. Kiyosaki is all about building a relationship with money.
Shifting your mindset instead of chasing a windfall.
100%. Which brings us to the heart of the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay, two dads, two totally different outlooks. But it's more than just one being wealthy, right?
It's about their philosophies. Kiyosaki's own dad, Poor Dad, represents that classic path.
Good education, secure job, work hard.
But always struggling financially. He focused on security.
Not on understanding how money actually works.
Exactly. Now, Rich Dad, the friend's father, different story.
He wasn't necessarily born rich, but thought about money in a whole other way.
Financial education was key for him, not just earning, but making money work for him. Investing, building assets.
Even dropping out of school to chase business ventures.
Pretty bold move, especially back then.
Makes you think how much of our own money mindset comes from our upbringing, not from actual knowledge.
Were we taught to fish, or just given a fish now and then?
Kiyosaki wants us to question those inherited beliefs, even if it gets a little uncomfortable.
Because if we don't learn the why behind money, we just keep repeating patterns, maybe even ones that hold us back.
All right, so let's get into it. Assets versus liabilities. Everyone uses those words, but Kiyosaki takes them deeper.
It's beyond just definitions. He uses those crystal clear examples that suddenly make it click, like rental properties.
Properly managed, they just spit out cash flow.
An asset, putting money in your pocket.
Whereas that brand new car, the one everyone wants,
Sucking money out of your pocket every month.
depreciation, repairs.
The liability, even if you paid in full. He even says a big fancy house can go either way.
Whoa, mind blown. So for everyone listening, let's get practical. What's one thing you own that could be shifted? From a liability to an asset.
Maybe that spare room becomes a rental.
Or a hobby turns into a side hustle.
Kiyosaki isn't about being a miser. It's about building a system where your money works like a worker bee, making more honey for you.
That's a great image, and it's so relevant today. The whole gig economy, side hustles, it's Kiyosaki's world come to life.
He was ahead of the curve. But it's not just about being busy, it's about strategic choices. He emphasizes valuable skills.
Sales, investing, communication.
Things that make you more valuable, not just your time.
I get that. A few years back, I tried a side hustle, selling handmade crafts online.
Oh, interesting. What did you learn from that experience?
It was a crash course. I had to market myself, manage inventory, figure out pricing, all while keeping my main job. Kiyosaki's point about diverse skills totally hit home.
You weren't trading hours for dollars, you were building an asset, your own know-how.
For sure. Okay, we got to talk about the elephant in the room. Some people find Kiyosaki's advice a bit much, oversimplified, even risky. How does that line up with the book's huge impact?
Well, it's definitely not a get-rich-quick scheme. He always links risk with education.
Like his famous line.
It's not how much money you make, but how much you keep and how hard it works for you.
So it's get smart, then get rich. A journey, not a lottery ticket.
Exactly. He wants readers to find mentors, study the markets, understand the rules before jumping in.
That resonates with people who want lasting wealth, not a quick win.
Exactly.
Speaking of learning, what's one financial topic you've always been curious about?
Something you wanted to tackle but felt intimidated by.
Maybe investing, real estate, starting that business. Kiyosaki is all about facing those fears.
He really is. Knowledge is what busts through that feeling of overwhelm. Knowledge can be a powerful tool when it comes to finances.
Absolutely. And Kiyosaki really pushes us to shift our mindset from working for money to making money work for us. That idea of minding your own business, though, kind of throws you off at first.
Right. He's not saying quit your job tomorrow and become an entrepreneur. There's more to it. Rich Dad is about building those multiple streams of income.
Because relying just on your paycheck.
It's risky, like putting all your eggs in one basket. Especially nowadays, things are unpredictable.
So minding your own business really means taking ownership, creating your own opportunities.
Exactly. That's where multiple income streams come in. He gives all those examples, like investing in rentals.
Classic rich dad move.
Imagine you own a few apartments, each one's bringing in cash flow every month. That's your money working, whether you're at work or on a beach somewhere.
I see the connection to the gig economy. We're all out there hustling, driving, freelancing, selling stuff online. It's like Kiyosaki saw this coming.
He did. But again, it's not about chaotic busyness. It's about being strategic, like Rich Dad always says. Remember that chapter about different
The
investors?
ones who are like surfers.
Some ride any wave, others wait for the perfect one. Same with income streams. Choose what fits your skills and goals, not just the trendy thing.
That's so Kiyosaki, using those relatable examples. Makes finances almost exciting.
He's great at that. But he gives real advice too. He says, our mind is our most powerful asset. Train it well, it can build huge wealth. That's why he's so big on learning, on investing in yourself.
He even talks about learning to sell, which freaks some people out,
But he sees it as essential, no matter what you do.
because it's a skill that applies everywhere.
If you can sell your product, your service, communicate value, that's huge for entrepreneurship, freelancing, even getting a raise at your job.
It's true, and what's striking is how mainstream so many of these rich dad ideas are now. Back then, they were radical. Now everyone's talking side hustles, passive income, personal branding.
It's a huge shift in how we think about money. He was ahead of his time, for sure, but it also shows these core principles. Financial literacy, building assets, diversifying. They're timeless. Whether you want to be a mogul or just feel secure day to day,
It's about having options, not feeling stuck.
100%. That's why this book still gets with people. Even if they don't agree with everything, it's about empowerment, taking control instead of just letting life happen.
Choosing to ride the wave, not getting tossed around by it.
Exactly. That's a powerful message, wouldn't you say? But before we get too lost in the surfing metaphors, let's get real about something. One of the most controversial parts of Kiyosaki's philosophy, his take on risk.
Risk. It's a word that can make even the most seasoned investor a little uneasy.
And when it comes to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's definitely a hot topic.
Kiyosaki really encourages people to step outside their comfort zones, doesn't he?
He does. And that can be a bit unnerving for some, especially those who are more risk-averse.
His strategies, especially those involving real estate or starting a business, aren't exactly low risk, are they?
They're not. Critics often point out that they can require a lot of capital, a high tolerance for the unknown, and of course, solid financial knowledge.
He doesn't just hand you a roadmap and say, go get rich.
No, it's more like he gives you the tools, the mindset, but the actual work, that's on you.
And it's important to remember that Rich Dad, Poor Dad was written quite a while ago.
Over 2 decades, in fact.
The financial landscape has definitely shifted since then.
Oh, absolutely. Internet, the gig economy, even how we invest. It's a whole different world.
Some of Kiyosaki's specific strategies might need a bit of an update for today's world.
For sure. For example, he talks a lot about using debt to your advantage,
Leveraging investments.
which can be a powerful tool. But it can also be a bit of a slippery slope if you're not careful.
It's all about calculated risk.
Exactly. And that calculation has to factor in your personal situation, your financial goals, even your personality.
Blindly following anyone's advice, even rich dads, without thinking it through, that's not a smart move.
Definitely not. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad, what are the key takeaways for our listeners?
What should they really hold on to?
Well, I think Kiyosaki's focus on financial education is more important now than ever. No matter who you are, what you make, understanding money is empowering.
It gives you the tools to make smart choices.
To be in control of your financial future, not just hoping for the best. And secondly, I think his challenge to conventional thinking is really valuable. He makes us question that traditional path
The job security thing.
and instead focus on building assets that generate income. Whether it's real estate, investments, entrepreneurship, he wants us to shift from working for money to having money work for us.
It's a big shift in perspective.
It is. And while becoming completely financially free might not be realistic for everyone, the journey toward it, that can lead to more security, more options, and a life that's truly on your terms.
That resonates, for sure. Now, before we go, I want to leave our listeners with a question that really stuck with me. It's not something Kiyosaki explicitly answers, but I think it gets at the heart of his message. If money wasn't a factor, what would true wealth look like to you? What would make your life feel rich?
Would it be traveling the world, pursuing your passions, spending more time with loved ones, giving back to your community, leaving a legacy?
Because Rich Dad Poor Dad isn't just about growing your bank account. It's about aligning your money goals with your values, your dreams. It's about creating a life that feels rich in every sense of the word. So keep learning, keep exploring, keep striving for that richness. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.